What is up, guys? Welcome to my channel. This is a little video about the Nickal interview. He's come straight out, unlike Ariel, to have a loser on, but I guess it's a surprising loser. Do you know what I mean? So it's like he's the talk of the town. So Ariel just, Ariel, he's a snake. He just wants to get him on to get his clicks and his views, which is, I guess, is fair enough. But yeah, so we got a loser on Ariel Hawani, and I went sitting through the whole 35-minute interview, so you don't have to. And I've picked all the good bits, the juicy bits, the bits you need to hear and need to know. And I'll say off the bat, Bo is taking it like a champ. I mean, he's probably had a bit of PR, and people have learned from past, like Ronda Rousey running out of a bag on her head or whatever she did, acting like she's Michael Jackson in the 80s and 90s. But so this might not be real him. He might have been told what to say. He might have been coached, which I wouldn't be surprised in this day and age. But if this is the real him, then I respect it. He was very humble, and just very real. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first part was interesting. Was at 11 minutes and 20 seconds. So let's go to 11:20 and here we go.
But it's definitely motivation. It's fuel for the fire. And as soon as that fight ended, even just like traveling back to our Airbnb with my coaches, all I wanted to do was just get back into training and get back to improving and getting better. And I do this because I love it, and it's a big challenge, and it's very intense, and there's a lot of pressure, but that's fun for me. I want to live my life that way, and when things go well, I get the reward, and when things don't go well, as this past weekend, then I get the consequences of that as well, and that's the life I live.
Do you allow yourself to read any of this stuff online?
That is, you can't argue with that. I hope that's the genuine real him, because you cannot argue with that. I'm just noticing here, Patrice Evra calls out Luis Suarez for a fight. If you didn't know, Luis Suarez is a vicious little South American who used to bite people and that in the Premier League back in the day. And man, he might be a striker and ever a defender, so-called defender, but 15,000 views 5 days ago. No one gives a crap. He must have spunked all his money, old Patrice Evra. But my money's on Suarez. He'll box your face in, and then you'll need new dentures. So I'd pipe down if I was you, Evra. Anyway, hey ho, let's get on with it. 1250. I don't think I've written down what he talked about here, but we'll find out. 1250. Oh, the personal attack. So he's been getting ripped by his own inner circle, basically. Here we go.
From people that were, I think that, I even got some texts personally from people that were trying to put me down in a way. And when I see that, it honestly, it doesn't make me mad. It just makes me sad, because I just think there's a lot of that negativity in the world, and I don't really.
Maybe he was.
I don't know. It makes me sad.
People who have your number, who are like some sort of, like they're close to you in some kind of way, they're texting you crap.
I've had a couple people like that, and I think that again, it makes me sad. It makes me really
the guy's number.
Wow. I don't know. Kicking somebody when they're down is
100%. As fans,
I don't know.
we're entitled to.
But again, I don't even really feel.
Especially when
I feel down in a way where I'm disappointed, but I'm excited. This is a chance for me to really test my mettle, and it's easy to just continue to do things when everything's going right. And
100%. I like what I'm hearing. That sounds like it's from the heart as well. I mean, if he's been coached on all of this, he got a damn good coach, and he should win an Oscar, because it all seems like it's from the heart. Maybe I'm a sucker. You guys let me know, but I don't believe so. So 2150, that's what I didn't have. I don't know what this part was about. I forgot to write it down. I got the little timestamps written down of what was said, but let's have a look. 2150.
Career in another sport where you had highs and lows. You're kind of ready for this, as opposed to someone who his whole life was built to get to the UFC and maybe went 2-3-0 as an amateur, and this is their first time ever losing anything of any kind. Do you think that has something to do with it, the way you have this perspective?
Absolutely. I've lost so many times, and I've had so many experiences in life that have taught me.
I've got to say, a loss in wrestling, although it might be a big deal to a guy like this, getting your ass whooped in a fist fight is different to losing a wrestling match. Because you can always say, well, if I could have clobbered him or put hands on him, I could have beat that fool. And as a man, you can go to sleep at night knowing that. You get whooped in an MMA fight, what are you going to say? Oh, if I could just give him the Joe Son to the groin punches, or if I could have just eye gouged him, or given the old headbutt, or the old Dan Bobish chin in the eye socket, then maybe, or the Gracie fucking on Shamrock with the gi. No, you got your ass up in an MMA fight. There ain't nothing you can say about it. You just got to get better.
Be lessons.
Which, to be fair to him, he does say he's the better man. He's the better fighter. He's the better man, and I got to give respect for that.
And I really look at this like very similar to, I feel like I'm reliving the same story over and over again. Like at this point, it's the third time I think I've lived this story. And I think God's doing that for a reason. I look at when I was a freshman in high school, losing in the state finals of, and wanting to be a 4-time state champion, not being able to achieve that. I look at the national. This is really the fourth time I've lived through it. I look at my freshman year in college, losing the national finals, not achieving my goal. I look at losing in the Olympic trials finals, not achieving my goal.
My nose is fucked on the one side.
But the reality is, I look back at those moments, and those were amazing opportunities for me to grow and learn and get better. And specifically losing it in college as a freshman, I remember being incredibly depressed. 3-4 months of just like being so down and feeling like my life was over. And
nothing more, just explaining about how I was in a big comeback and all that.
People bring up the Hamzat comments and some of your other comments where you were very confident, brash, some would say cocky. Do you regret any of those things now?
No, I don't regret a single thing. I believe myself 100%, and I'll bet on myself every single time. I think that
really though, like what? If we threw you back in right now in a half hour's time, we said, look, Street Beef, you're going against that, yeah, you bet on yourself again, really? Would you bet your house on it? I don't think so.
This win or a loss doesn't define me, right? Like, I've been able to win a lot, and I've...
No, at the end of the day, I said in my other video, they put this guy in against a guy with 3 times the experience. He's a 2 Division 1 champion. His only loss was at Anatoly Malikin. And you can completely excuse that. Malikin's an absolute beast. I believe he had an off night against Rug, who's another huge unit anyway. But I genuinely think it was just ridiculous. I almost think that maybe he's awkward behind the scenes, asking for more money, being awkward, difficult to work with. The matchmakers thought, look, let's just give him a loss and put him in his place. But then another part of me thinks that the matchmaker saw how poor the Riddler looked in his first fight. Obviously, the Holland fight was a nothing fight. Holland just turns up for a paycheck, so you can't even count that. And he looked so bad in the GM3 fight on the feet. And we know GM3 is one of my favourite fighters. I won so much money on him as an underdog, but he just isn't that great with the hands, and he is a bit chinny. It's got to be said. They must have thought they added up. They might have thought that Bo was going to get an easy fight night. I don't know what they were thinking. It was a weird matchup. It didn't make sense, but Nadia is huge as well. It just didn't make sense. But anyway, the last little bit.
Lose very few times, and I don't define myself by the losses. I don't define myself by the wins. I just have a belief in myself that'll never go away no matter what. And so,
yeah, so that's all you need to hear. Basically, if you want to go watch the interview, go watch the interview. But I promise you, I've watched it for you. They're the only bits you really need to hear about. I think it was a crazy fight and crazier odds. I made a nice little bit of change on it. Did any of you bet on the fight or make any money on this fight? Because I think it's just MMA experience and wrestling experience is 2 different things, and he hadn't fought anywhere close to Diaz's level, not even close. I mean, when you think about it, matchmaker wise, he was coming off a fight that I personally, it's because I had an accumulator and money on it, so maybe I'm biased, but I think he lost that fight against Paul Craig, or at least it was very, very close. So look at all the likes Ariel's getting, the little bastard. But anyway, yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.